I'm Mr. Creepy. That's my hand, those are my chips, and those cards belong to Mustache Mike. Mike's all in pre-flop, and I call. Those are 3 boards. That makes my set to win the first, and Mike hits and wins the next 2 and scoops the whole pot. Let's back it up.
What is 3 boards?
3 boards.
3 boards? The first one doesn't count.
Woo! Creepy is creepier than
First board doesn't count. I hit a set.
Thank goodness.
Well, I guess it's only a car payment. But you don't understand. It was 3 boards, and the first one didn't even count. I'll do it again, just 7 hands later. I limp with ace-queen offsuit, and a man named Bruce with a mountain of chips raises to $40. I've got a hand that I sometimes shove. I want to see all 5 cards, but I don't want to go broke doing so. Although I do consider gambling free, this time I decide I'm going to wait and see. I call and see a top flop. I check. Bruce bets 20% of my stack. Honestly, I like where I'm at. My top pair has me feeling pretty good against his any 2. I soon find out that Bruce doesn't have any 2, but these 2. And although I don't know when I call while behind, you know I'm in trouble. The turn gives me top 2, and there's 2 people in this pot who think they're ahead. I'm thinking the ace is a great bluff card for Bruce, so I check and hope to trap. Improving his hand, Bruce bets $115 again, holding everything except the leader. I give it a couple heartbeats, then check raise all in, and he insta-calls. The river blanks out for both of us. I win, as expected, only to find out that I got very, very
Look at
lucky.
this motherfucker. I can't fucking believe it.
Okay, I'm ready to make that payment now. Through the magic of video editing, we've all changed tables. I call seat 8's open raise to $20 with ace-king offsuit, and Mustache Mike, now in seat 2, raises me to $90. Mike number 2 in seat 3 calls that $90. Seat 8 raises to $400, disregarding making a smaller bet in order to give me a chance to make a valid raise and therefore give him the opportunity to re-raise afterwards. Since I cannot make a valid raise and pot odds now make calling make sense, I just call the $400 and leave 81 behind. Mustache Mike also calls, and while Mike number 2 and 3 tanks a bit, hey, that's former college football beast Caleb Tremblay in seat 7. Mike number 2 folds, and the pot's now like $1,300. But I mean it, that guy's a star. He played defensive end for 2 Power 5 football teams, and now he's sitting right there across the table from me. He's really smart, and he's got discipline, determination, and drive to be a big success at something in the future. And he was the first ever person to subscribe to the Mr. Creepy Poker channel, so I'm a little bit biased. I did mention I have ace-king, right? Well, that board isn't a good one for me. Seat 8 shoves for like $1,000, and I risk my 81 at 18-1 odds. Mustache Mike calls with bottom pair and a flush draw, and I need a king that isn't a club and hope that seat 8 has worse than 2 pair to win. This is my vlog, right? I got 2 outs, right? One time! Total miracle, king of diamonds, spikes the river, and I take down nearly a $1,500 pot right off the bat. Except it was a 4 of diamonds and I lost. Seat 8 shows pocket jacks and stacks the max from both of us, and I soon call for chips to trade in my green for another rack of red for bullet number 2. This Mr. Creepy Double Dust Off is brought to you by the Broker James YouTube channel. Don't dust off your cash when you're buying a home. Get a buyer rebate from Broker James. Contact Broker James to get all the disclosure packages for all the properties you want to buy sent right to your inbox. One fun thing about cash games that I like is I get to choose where I sit, and given the choice, I'll always sit to the direct right of the most aggressive person at the table. I'll limp with all my playable hands, let him bet for me, and then go over the top. I limp with pocket kings. Mustache Mike raises to $20 and gets 2 callers. Caleb re-raises to $200, and I shove all in for $500. That's a lot of dead money. Mustache Mike calls for $500. One thing for certain, Mr. Creepy has won 100% of the hands he's played when all his opponents have folded. And regardless of what I have, I feel very confident I can keep that streak going. Unfortunately for me, Caleb tests that theory by over-shoving to 11 billion chips. Mustache Mike tanks and folds pocket nines. And I'm head up with Caleb, running it twice, risking $500 to win $1,560. And while I haven't won yet, I do like my chances for better than a triple up against one opponent while holding kings. Both boards run clean for me. In fact, I hit 2 full houses. Caleb tells me later he got coolered with pocket queens. But don't feel bad for him, as he left this table and went to another, then went on a run to the sun like no other. He has a much better memory of this night than what you've just seen, and that's the story of Caleb Tremblay, Card Room Crusher. I decide to stop playing over my head and head to a home game put together by Gary the Fish, a true American hero. Gary tells me he was a lifeguard when he was a teenager, then enlisted in the Army and was deployed to Afghanistan. It seems that one of the Army's higher-ups figured out the enemy was burying gold and other treasures in lakes and rivers, and Gary had the skill set to dive deep and retrieve them. Gary finished his time serving, came back to the States, got his degree, and now runs a scuba training business, hence the nickname Gary the Fish. The buy-in was $40, and Gary provided free pizza. I brought the sodas. Other players that night were Jenny, Chuckles, Mason Dixon, Taters, and Blanche. Normal card banter.
So Jen and I went to a party at Christmas time. Yeah, it was and there was this little boy. He was probably 10 years old or something. And
He knew his shit.
Yeah, and then his dad let him play poker.
Zach.
Yeah, he looks at his hand and he says,
"Oh yeah, I just blew a load in my pants." And I am trying not to bust up laughing.
That guy's got a great dad.
And I've got a suited queen and play for $1.50 4 ways, including Gen E's All In. Last summer, I actually played in the 10K main event of the World Series of Poker, and as soon as Gary heard about it, the fish bought action. I've never met Gen E up to that point, but she also decided to put her faith in me then. I'll tell you how I did very soon, but for now, just know that I hit top pair, bet $4, and cut the action down to 3 on the flop. It makes me feel pretty good when someone believes in my ability to do something like win a poker tournament. I think Gary and Jen have a friend for life. The both of us that weren't all in checked the turn, and when my miracle came on the river, Mason bet $5, I tanked, I shoved, Mason tanked, and Mason called. I delivered the bad beat, and I won heaps. Word of warning, don't be surprised if Gary shows up at your card room, buys in for a couple racks, and you get cracked. Just saying. And with that said, it feels refreshing not to be playing for my entire net worth every day. Don't get me wrong, there's something to be said about the adrenaline rush, but it's nice to slow it down once in a while. Hope you enjoyed this story. If you did, you'll keep this fledgling channel alive if you like and subscribe. I'm learning both poker and vlogging, and I'd love to have you along for the ride. It's March, tournament season is starting up again, and my next story has to do with my tournament experience. Hope to see you there.